Hello everyone. My name is Jenny. Today we are going to learn about how to answer Ielts speaking questions. Part 1. Basic Description. Now, remember in Part 1, you will get a lot of simple questions. But we need to give long, complex answers, with good vocabulary, and good grammar points. And, focusing on basic descriptions. They might ask you a question like, tell me about your family. Here is an example of a poor answer to that. My family have 5 members. But everybody has a different personality. Both my father and mother are very quiet, and my oldest brother has a very hot temper. I'm always afraid of him when he is angry. But my other brother and I are jolly. I love my family. We live in a poor village but we are together. So that wasn't particularly good answer, because the grammar was very simple. There wasn't any great vocabulary used. Didn't demonstrate your ability in English to describe things effectively. The descriptions are really simple, just try to describe something. It doesn't matter how many sentences you make, if you don't really add anything. So, now let's take a look at another example, in which we do describe things effectively, and we describe things in greater details. Here it is. Well, I'll start with my mother, who is one of the kindest people I know. One time I literally saw her give her coat to a homeless person. My father tends to be a little quieter, but don't let that fool you. He is devastatingly smart, and holds the family together. I also have 2 older sisters, and they couldn't be more different. The oldest one is a bit wild. She has lots of tattoos, and likes to go out to lots of bars and clubs. Her life motto is, no regrets. My other sister could best be described as conservative. She doesn't like to take risks, but she is very considerate, and constantly works to help other people. Like many families, we have squabbles every now and then, but we're incredibly close and we love each other a lot. So some good vocabulary we used in that last example were devastatingly, conservative, considerate, squabble. It's better to use personality traits. And then, you can give an example illustrating that personality trait. For example, she was one of the kindest people I know. And then, we gave an example that she gave a homeless man her coat one time. So that's a great way to get grammar points, and to show that you can effectively describe things. Now let's talk about a structure we can use to answer basic description type questions. To help build a fluency and natural way of speaking, we will begin with something like, okay then. Alright. Well. Actually. Next we are going to want to give a first point phrase. The first thing I should mention is, the point I'd like to begin with is, I could start off by saying, my initial point is that. Next, after describing our first point in a complex sentence, we're going to want to use another second point phrase. Some common phrases we might use are. Another point I would like to make is. As well as that I can say. On top of that I would add that. Also, I suppose I should say that. Then, you're going to want to use your third point phrase. And I shouldn't forget to mention that. In addition, I can add that. Something else that I need to comment on is that. I guess I could also remark that. So, what other basic description questions? They could be. Tell me about your house or the flat you live in. Tell me about your city. Describe your hometown. What is your main ambition? Tell me about your job. What makes you happy? Tell me about your family. Now we're going to take an in-depth look, using the structure we just learned to answer the question, describe your hometown. Here it is. Okay, well, I'm from a place near the coast. And the main thing you need to know is that, even though it is a small city, but it's one of the most popular tourist destinations for people living in other areas. On top of that, I would add that it has absolutely gorgeous scenery, with spectacular beaches and world-renowned seafood. Which means, it's a great place for enjoying the outdoors. And I shouldn't forget to mention that, it has a really strong local community. And I always know that, I'll have support from my friends and family there. Some good vocabulary words I used in that last example were coast, gorgeous scenery, spectacular, world-renowned. And one of the main reasons the answer was a good answer, was because I used that structure and, I had a lot of great linking phrases. And it made my speech sound very natural, and it made the answer flow a lot better. Now let's talk about something need to remember on the test. You have to remember about mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. Even native English also make mistakes in speaking English. So, on the test you are undoubtedly going to make mistakes, but don't freak out, or get nervous. Because that will ruin the rest of your flow, for other questions. You can try to correct your mistakes, if you notice them immediately. Try to correct on the spot. However, if you can't, just move past it, and realize that they're going to happen, and it's not that big a deal.